Mr. Postmaster, fellow Postmasters, and honored guests. I'm sure that everyone in this room at some time in their life or coming up has had to sit in on a job interview. It can be one of the most stressful times, or it can be one of the more exciting times. And whether it's stressful or exciting is really up to each individual, and it really comes down to the amount of preparation that each one of us puts into it. Tonight I want to talk about what it takes to be prepared for that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make that first impression. First thing is know yourself. What are your skills and abilities? What is about you that presents the best skills and abilities that really wants that person to hire you? How do my skills and experiences relate to the position an employer's needs? You really want to have a strong understanding of what that position is and the skills that are tied to it, so that you know that you're putting your best foot forward when you're interviewing for that particular position. What contributions will I bring to the employer? What is it that you can bring to the employer while you're going through the interview process that is going to make you stand out above the competition? What gives you that competitive advantage? A very important one is, how does this position fit into my career goals? Understand exactly what it is that you want out of your career. If it doesn't match what your career goals are, chances are that position probably isn't one that you are probably going to be overly interested in. So again, how does it fit into your career goals? If you understand that, I think you have a really good chance of doing well during that particular interview. Key one next is to prepare yourself. You want to obtain a copy of the job description. Know exactly what it is that you're going in for. If you don't understand what that position is, you're not going to really understand what it is that they're asking, and it might be difficult during that time period to be answering some of those questions. Use the employer information in the employer's website to gather information on the organization. This will really help you gain knowledge about the company itself. Taking that extra step in advance gives you that competitive advantage of knowing exactly what it is that that company is all about. Next is develop a list of appropriate questions that reflect the research that you've done. This will really show the interviewer that you did your homework. You're really interested in the position, you're interested in what it is that the company provides, and it also shows them that you take that initiative to not just come in and go through the motions of the interview, but you're really interested in truly in what that company does. One of the biggest things leading into that is really researching the organization. Before the job interview, you should research the organization, and it's easier to convince an employer why it is that they should hire you coming in, because they know that you've taken that time to look up all of this information. And some of the key areas that you want to focus on are the specific areas for research would be, how old is the organization, and how long has it been around, and how did it grow? How did this company become into existence? Where are they located? What are the types of plants and stores? What geographic locations are they located in? Might give you some good insight into what it is about the company that you're interested in. What are its products and services? What are those things that they sell, or whether it be a product or a service? What are the things that might lead you down the path of wanting to work for this company? Is it a public or nonprofit organization? That alone might help you decide whether or not this is a position that you want or not, depending on what that information is that you find when you're doing the research on the company. How does the organization rank in industry? I think that's a pretty important one, depending on what type of company you work for. If it's a smaller company, you might not be able to find much information as far as rankings within industry. But if you're a large corporation, there might be information out there from a benchmarking standpoint that allows you to look exactly where that industry stands in comparison to other companies that are very similar. Are there plans for expansion? What possibilities are there, not only from a facility standpoint of expansion, but also with that, you're probably going to be able to determine whether or not that gives you an opportunity for growth within that organization. Out of each one of those aren't only just really good research questions to look up about the company, but they're also good ones to take into the interview as well. Because I think with that, being able to ask those questions to the interviewer, I think really takes and solidifies, is this the position for me or not? A lot of times you go into a position, it all looks good on paper with what they have for the job posting or for the offering, but when you actually sit down and start asking some of those questions, it can really determine whether or not you want to be with that company and take the position. I can speak for experience. I walked into a company, went through the entire interview process. I actually accepted the position. and I started looking back on some of the questions that I didn't ask. And I actually called them back, requested the hiring manager if I could spend about half hour on the phone with them just asking specific questions. And it turned out that I realized that that position truly was not for me just based on specific questions. So it's really what you want to do is turn it more into a conversation than more just a question and answer. You really want the conversation to flow so you're both comfortable asking questions, because it's not just you that's being interviewed. You want to try to interview the interviewer so you can find out as much as possible about the company or the position that you're applying for. Key one to anything is practice. Practice, practice, practice. Practice answering interview questions. It'll help you set your pace. It'll give you that confidence and comfort feel. So again, like when we come up here and we do speeches or we're doing table topics, it helps you think on your feet, but also when you're doing a speech, it gives you the opportunity to practice well in advance. If you can, schedule a mock interview through an office for career services. This really gives you the confidence that you need, but also provides you tremendous feedback on how you're answering questions. Are you answering them appropriately? I think one of the key things is to remember to smile and be yourself. Just go in, be comfortable with who you are, and through that practice and preparation, if you can just go in there, smile, be yourself, the whole interview process should go quite well. Last thing, now that you have the interview set up, the last step is really a checklist. And this is pretty critical for once you have the foundation laid. And that checklist really is confirm the time, date, and place of your interview. Many people don't think of that. You want to make sure that you know the time, the date, the location, and distance, because you don't know how far or how long it's going to take you to get there. If you run into traffic, you want to give yourself plenty of opportunity to be there on time. Make sure you take several copies of your resume. A lot of times you might go into an interview, you might have 1 or 2 copies, but then realize that you might have to give out 3 or 4 more to other people that you didn't realize that you're going to be interviewing with. So you can never take too many copies. One of the key ones, it's kind of a first impression when you walk in for a lot of people, is to dress appropriately. Casual business attire. We've really kind of gone away from the suit and tie, but you don't want to go in there with blue jeans and a ripped up shirt. You want business casual attire. Again, be punctual and arrive early. That's one of the key things. It helps you sit down, relax, kind of focus on your interview, and be ready for the interview as soon as they call you in. So by following the steps for know yourself, prepare yourself, research the organization, practice, and have that checklist ready, if you follow all 5 of those steps, these steps will help you be prepared for that job of a lifetime, that